Blog Talk Radio.
Let's not stand on ceremony, mate. Let's start the show.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Without the Joker around, I can't. For all your noise and bluster, you're just a silly little girl with no one around to protect her.
Whoa, wait.
What?
Don't kill me.
Ah, right.
No, seriously. Romy. Come on, just gonna be something we can figure out. Hey. Wait, you lost something, right? You lost something, I heard you say it. A diamond. Yeah. I can help you find it. Seriously. I know the East End better than anybody. You want this diamond back? I'm your gal.
Welcome, everybody, to Cinema Royale. I am Travis Hobson of PunchDrunkCritics.com. This is my co-partner, John Nolan. What's up, John?
What's up, everybody?
What's up, man? How are you doing?
Oh, just Oscar Sunday and feeling bad about the state of female-led action movies.
Yeah, I'm a little pissed right now. Poor Birds of Prey.
Especially after last week.
Yeah, it's just 2 weeks in a row of female-led movies that have just totally bombed between this and the rhythm section. And we were going to get into this a little bit later, but we can just kind of tease it right now. But it does feel like the toxic bros are coming back, and I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know what brought this on, but it only seems to happen with like popular franchises or popular versions of franchises. Like the rhythm section is the first non-Bond movie by the Bond people. They're clearly trying to set something up there. And then Birds of Prey is, DC Extended Universe, DC Universe. And there's really no reason to explain why this movie would bomb. It's you look at the cinema score, it's got a B+. People who see it liked it. Even critics have given it at least an 81% of Rotten Tomatoes last I checked. So it's critical.
Which is really good.
Yeah, it's got its bases covered, and it's got Margot Robbie coming back as Harley Quinn, who was the character everybody liked. I mean, it's got a tone. It's rated R, which every fan says they want their movies to be rated R. It's got a tone that's very similar to Deadpool. Does it lean a little bit on the feminist side? Of course it does. It's all female team of vigilantes. Of course it does. But I don't understand why.
Yeah, but it doesn't shoehorn that stuff in.
I mean,
I don't feel like
it's very thin. It's very thin. It's lessons that it's trying to impart. That much is admittedly so. But it's a superhero movie. How deep do you expect it to go?
Right. Yeah,
so
the toxic bro thing, I maybe it's just that I don't want to give them that much power. I know how the internet, reactions can look and how it can seem like everybody in the world is following that stuff, but historically it hasn't seemed to turn out that way, and I hope it's something else, but it's kind of hard to blame anything else at this point.
Yeah, it really is. And when creatively the movie isn't a stinker and stuff like this happens, that's when I get curious. But the thing for me, and I tweeted about this last night and again this morning, is just looking at the reactions from like our readers and people who messaged me about it. It's the exact same stuff I heard in 2016 with Ghostbusters. This movie's trash. No, it's not. This movie's not trash. You might not have liked it, but it's not trash. The movie's not trash.
Right.
This is verbiage that's only used for certain kinds of movies. You know, I'm just like, there's like been real venom towards this movie and its failure. That's like the other thing, like actual glee that the movie doesn't. The movie do well, you know, you might be like, oh well, you know, the movie's bad, whatever. But no, people seem to be actually happy that the movie didn't do well, and that's where I think the toxic fandom, the toxic masculinity comes in.
Well, what brings that in? Is it the fact that there's more women than men? The fact that a woman's leading? Because I mean, those same people seem just fine with her leading Suicide Squad. They don't mind a pretty face and a woman, you know, kicking ass in a movie that's got men in it. So I don't understand. I don't understand any of this stuff, to be honest with you, because if a movie's good, a movie's good. Who cares who's in it? If you can get to it, why go to that length? Why are you that lonely in your life? But still, it's weird that this has come out. I mean, on the other side, $33 million is not, you know, it's not bombing. It didn't bomb, but they were expecting $50 million. We'll have to see what the staying power is like for it, but you know, it sucks either way.
It's bombing when you consider that it's the lowest grossing DC Extended Universe movie ever.
I guess that'll do it.
Yeah, it's the lowest grossing DC Comics movie since Jonah Hex in 2010. Jonah Hex. All right.
Oh, anything that brings that name back up.
Now, see all right. So here's the plus side of it. Now, okay, so we've been talking about it. We haven't talked about what it's actually done. So box office wise, Birds of Prey made $33.2 million domestic, which is not good. Just a few days ago, we had posted how it was being projected for $50 million, which would have been good, not amazing or anything by any stretch, but it would have been good for a movie that's budgeted between $80 and $95 million. A $50 million start would have been just fine. $33 million, on the other hand, does not look great, and it means it's not likely to come anywhere near cracking $100 million domestic. It's not likely to happen. On the plus side, it did make $48 million internationally, like overseas. So it's got $81 million right now, and it'll likely end up making its money back. I think. But I mean, they were expecting a lot more from this. This is a popular character, big star Margot Robbie, and they were on a roll with Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Shazam. That you would think Birds of Prey would be an easy continuation of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so let's dig into that real quick. Just a quick question I have. This toxic fandom that we see in the States, is this something that historically has been affecting worldwide as well? Like with, you know, Ghostbusters, Charlie's Angels, is that tone set only in the States, or is that something that we're seeing worldwide?
I think it's something we're only seeing in the States. We don't really see it worldwide. Because I'm not seeing anything like that anywhere else. We seem to be the only ones that have this sort of attitude when it comes to women leading things. And you mentioned Suicide Squad earlier and how people weren't upset by that. She's a supporting character in an ensemble of men in that movie.
Right.
So I think we're break out also easy for people to kind of, you know, just take her as a supporting character. But here she is the centerpiece character. And you know, a lot of guys have a thing about women beating up men, especially seeing it on the big screen. They don't want to pay for it. They don't want to see it. They think it's nonsense. They think it's unreal. But it's a superhero movie. She has a pet hyena who eats people. The whole thing's unreal. But
right.
It seems to be the way. Rhythm Section, again, another woman who beats up men. Charlie's Angels, women who beat up men. I think this is a pattern. This is a pattern.
Well, then what sets something like Wonder Woman apart? When you got a Wonder Woman who beats up men, who's been shown to be in the movies just to be as powerful as Batman, especially, or Batman and Superman, especially, you know, and then you got her in her own movie sets all the records. What sets that apart for something like this? It's just, I don't want to give them the credit to think they have that much power. Like there's that many of them that can influence this. I just don't understand how it happens, I guess.
I mean, I guess with Wonder Woman, you can say one thing, she's an actual god. So I mean, then Harley Quinn is just a normal person. She has no powers. None of these women have any powers except for Black Canary, which you only see that in the movie once, and it's not really something she uses all that often. But Harley Quinn's just a normal person. Wonder Woman's a god, and she's one of the most iconic characters in comic book history. I think she kind of overcomes that sort of thing.
So she gets the pass.
I think she probably does. I mean, she's side by side with Batman and Superman, amongst the most recognizable characters in history. I think she gets a pass for stuff like that. So yeah, like I think if they made a Supergirl movie probably wouldn't do as well as a Wonder Woman movie, because she's not Supergirl. Despite her powers, isn't the icon. So, I mean, these little distinctions to me are stupid, but but I think that's probably
why I have
how
so much trouble with it.
Because I mean, I didn't hear the same sort of vitriol towards Wonder Woman. I mean, there was some, mind you, but not like this.
Yeah.
Not like this. And I just it reminds me
They tried to
much
capture
of.
reviews, but
Yeah, you're right. They absolutely did. I mean, and we saw what they also did to the last two Star Wars movies, or at least The Last Jedi, when people were upset that there were female leads in the most recent Star Wars movies. How upset this same group of people got. And what did they do? They polarized reactions to that movie. It's insane. I mean, they did to The Force Awakens too, but it's insane how much influence this small but vocal minority of a-holes have. But they do. They have. And I don't know what you do about it as a studio. Do you just stop making these movies? You can't do that, right?
no. I mean, you got to think you got to look at what worked with Wonder Woman to defeat it. I mean, there's something that part of what made Wonder Woman so successful is that women went out in droves. Women that rarely go to the theater. People that really stood up for it because of it. It was more. I mean, I might be overselling it, but it's more than a movie at that point. Kind of like Black Panther. It's more than a movie. It's a statement. It's we want representation. We're coming out to support the representation we want. So, can that be maintained? Not that everything has to be a political statement, but until these people shut up. I don't get it, because they're stopping themselves from enjoying something really cool is the thing. It's like, who cares if it's a man or a woman or they're black or white or Chinese or whatever. If it's enjoyable, fucking enjoy it. Excuse my language.
But see, that's the thing. They can't.
I don't get it.
People, they can't enjoy something that offends them like that. It's like saying, hey Travis, just sit back and enjoy that Trump rally. No, I can't. It offends me. It's an extreme example, but that's the way these people would feel. It offends them to have a woman in this sort of role. To have multiple women. Maybe if it was one woman, they might be able to handle it. But it's multiple strong women beating up on guys for the entire movie. That's really what the movie is. I mean, they don't beat up any women in this movie. It's them picking on guys, and that offends certain people right down to their bones, and they can't get past it. They can't enjoy it. They can't just take it for the fun movie that it is. And it is a legitimately fun movie. I really enjoyed it. I've seen it twice already, and I want to go see it again.
I only saw it once, but it must be tiresome to go through life like that, and you miss out on so much, because this is, I mean, if you want to be misogynistic about it, you could point out that, hey, we get Roman Sionis, who we've only seen in video games, Black
Ewan
Man,
McGregor's
and he's played by
Ewan McGregor's great, by the way.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor's fantastic.
Yeah, you get that. So just go and point that out if you really want to be a dick about it. But I mean, Margot Robbie relishes this role. You can tell. I mean, I've never seen somebody that, like her, on the surface, seems so kind of prim and proper. Like before Suicide Squad, you wouldn't have expected it, and then like this is just her I'm up for anything role, and she just nails it every time. And Rosie Perez back on screen as Montoya. I mean, that's fun to see too. Not that she, I don't think she really burned the screen up, but and then you have I always want to say Mary Elizabeth Master Antonio, and I know that's not anywhere near correct. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Who's a certified badass.
My number one draft pick, Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah. I mean, we get some people on screen here that we haven't really seen. Great characters. That the closest we came was a ill-fated TV show in 2002 that was trying. You remember when the CW first tried to launch the MULTIVERSE in the early 2000s? They had a hit with Smallville. They tried to do it with Birds of Prey the same way they did with Arrow and Flash now, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, it failed.
Yeah. This show wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It's on the DC Universe app if anyone wants to check it out. But we get those same awesome characters here in the most fun, most comic book way you can have, just blowing everything up and running amok. And it was a lot different than I thought it was going to be. I thought the whole thing was going to be like they come together in the first act or the first 10 minutes, and then it was about Birds of Prey, but that wasn't really the case.
Yeah. No, it's completely loopy. One of the things I like about it is that it embraces its own kind of craziness. I mean, you're seeing a movie that's basically through the lens of Harley Quinn, who is no longer the Joker's main squeeze, and I love this idea. It's such a great idea that without him by her side, she's vulnerable like she's never been before. I think that's such a cool idea. And they really do play it up pretty well. So Black Mask, everybody is after other people. It's just a cool idea, and it's very John Wick-esque in plot, which means it's very thin in plot. Right? It's like everybody killed Harley Quinn. Everybody killed John Wick. Everybody go after John Wick. Everybody go after Harley Quinn. The plot is very John Wick-esque in that regard. Is it the same sort of movie? No, it's sillier. It's a little bit crazier. It's although the action was done by Chad Stahelski, who did the John Wick movies, so the action has this sort of Wick flavor to it. But I just think that I think they have something special here they can really build off of, and it makes me so disappointed that we're probably not going to get it unless it holds really well, and that's possible. That could hold really well and maybe kind of inch its way up to near $100 million, maybe $80 or $90 million. We can do that, and it also does really well internationally. Then it's possible we could see more. But I'm expecting you're not going to get it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing is that's a nice saving grace is that we're in the middle of a vortex of media right now where even though it seems like the streaming revolution has already done what it's going to do, the changes are we're in the eye of the storm. So, the idea that something that fails on a movie screen is dead forever is kind of an old thought. I mean, now, they could make a Netflix show and make all their money back, or with all these streaming shows, they could still incorporate these characters. Now, I don't think that's totally like the same thing handoff. I don't know what it is, but a 2-hour movie to me is still different than an 8-hour miniseries or whatever you want to call it on a streaming giant. But it's still something to have, and with this number of characters, it might actually be a more fleshed out story that way because you can kind of go into each of the origins, you can go into everything a little bit more and explore the relationships a little better.
Yeah, but with this cast, you're not going to get a streaming service out of these characters. Unless Warner Brothers goes full on the way Marvel did with their Disney Plus Marvel shows, you're not going to get these people invested in a TV series. I don't think. I don't see that happening. Most of them are really big actors. I just don't see it happening unless there's like I said, a full-fledged devotion to a cinematic universe. I don't see that happening.
No, for sure. But I mean, I would have said the same about Tom Hiddleston as Loki 5 years ago. You know what I mean? It's not anything that'll happen soon, and it's not anything that has a great chance of happening. But if the love is still there and it does pull out, to maintain for a little while, and it does get close, and if you see that there's some real draw for it, something that could happen.
Hey, I would love to see a Birds of Prey series with just Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Journey Smollett, and Rosie Perez. I would love to see that. And maybe the Ella J. Basco who plays Cassandra Cain. I would love to see that.
Right.
I don't think you get Margot Robbie for that, but I would love to see those characters back in a way, shape, or form. Which is why I'm upset. Now we'll see Harley Quinn again in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. We'll see her again, which I'm curious how they're going to tie her character in that to her character in this, because this movie has her character going off in a very distinct route, which is not necessarily, or at least not as much of a villain as she was before. So I don't know how they loop her back into the Suicide Squad. I don't know how they do it. I'm very curious to see what James Gunn does. Very curious.
That's the beauty of a character like Harley Quinn. You know, no matter how solid her path seems, she's still a nutball and she can go any way. But you know, I mean, do we have any word on the James Gunn Suicide Squad, whether it's gonna, you know, faithfully take from where the last one is? I don't, you know.
I mean, they're calling it. I mean, they're trying to have it both ways. They're calling it a continuation of you ask, but at the same time, they're bringing back like all of the major characters, with the exception of Will Smith's Deadshot. So to call it a reboot doesn't make any sense. What they're really trying to say is that this movie is standalone. That's really what they're just trying to say. You can't bring back the same actors in the same roles and pretend that it doesn't have some sort of link to the original movie. Of course it does. But does the storyline itself, does this plot have anything to do with the original Suicide Squad movie? No. It'll just be its own thing, which is fine. That makes sense. But I'm very curious to see how they handle Harley Quinn, because I think they have a real breakout character there. And I can't explain other than some guys are assholes for why right? I didn't do better.
Yeah. And I mean, the real shame is not even just Harley Quinn, like you said, we'll see her again, but like I was a big fan of Huntress in this. Like Black Canary's always been kind of take it or leave it for me, but even her I was interested in. But Huntress just seems like she's made for movies. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead is obviously she's my number one. She has been since Sky High, basically. So it's been a long time.
Wow.
But she's great here. I think she's someone I would love to see come back as Huntress one way or another.
Right.
She's such a curious actress, though, man. She's one of the few that can really jump between drama and a lot of like pop culture stuff. I mean, this is the same person that Scott Pilgrim Versus the World, you know, and then she can do stuff like Smashed and all she has a foot in both worlds, and like very few actors other than her have. I love watching her. She's great here too as Huntress, who's like the most serious character in the entire movie.
She does that amazing thing that a lot of people can't do, which is she's famous and she's known, but not well known enough to be tied to one place. So she can jump in and out of indie and blockbuster and be as comfortable in one as she is in the other. You know, and part of that's her talent, and part of that's just something specific about her, where her look or her style or whatever lets her walk between worlds, and not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we've done talking about Birds of Prey. We're both disappointed that it didn't do better at the box office, but I think we both fully recommend it. If you have a chance to see it, you should definitely go check it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Go check it out. All right, so this week is Oscar week. We haven't really had a chance to look that much. Yeah, I know. Tonight is the Oscars. Crazy, right? Last night was the Indie Spirit Awards, as usual. The Farewell won Best Featured, which is great. That was in my top 5 best movies of 2019. So I'm happy about that. But the Oscars are tonight. I'm getting ready for the big Oscar night party at the Arlington Cinema House. I've been with our friend Tim Gordon for about 5 or 6 years, maybe longer than that now. It sort of feels longer. Because in general, I hate the Oscar show. I would never watch it if I wasn't hosting the show. I would never watch it. I'd watch the Oscars. I used to watch the Golden Globes because at least then people were drunk on TV half the time. I don't even watch that anymore.
Yeah.
I kind of watched the Indie Spirit sometimes, although I skipped it this year. And I never watched the Critics' Choice either. I'm a voter, and I still don't watch it. So I just don't like the shows.
I watched the Oscars for years, but that was really only because my mom watched it, so it was like our thing to do every year. And I think my mom just liked watching the red carpet part of it and judging people's dresses. So, it's early this year too, which is strange.
That's one of the worst parts about it.
The
Oscars got moved up in a big way this year, which is also messed up everybody's rules. But the more annoying things tonight, you have to be there during the whole red carpet part of it too. So I'm sitting there at our table, and I'm just watching them talk to people and ask them what they're wearing, and it drives me insane. I can't stand watching that stuff. Cannot stand it.
Yeah, that hour or two represents the worst of Hollywood.
Oh my God, I can't stand it. And the people that do the questioning are even worse because they fancy themselves to be celebrities, and they act like they're celebrities too, and if they're friends with these celebrities when they're not. And I can't stand it. I hate it. But whatever. So Oscars are tonight. And, and I know I hate the Oscars, but I got to host this party and pretend that I'll at least pay attention to them and that I like them.
Right.
But I wanted to get at least some of your Oscar picks for tonight. Not for everything, but maybe the top major categories. So let's run down a few of them because we got some news we want to get to also about Doctor Strange 2. Big changes there this week. Vin Diesel talking about Fast and Furious 10. We haven't even seen 9 yet. So I want to get to those. So let's do some Oscar picks real quick. Maybe just the Best Picture, Best Director, Actor, Actress, Supporting, and Supporting Actress. And that's it.
Now, are we doing who we want to win or who probably will win?
We can do both. That's easy enough.
Okay.
So let's start right at the top. Because I literally just did my picks this morning. I posted my picks on punchdrunkcritics.com. You can go check that out. I posted my picks this year. And I highly suggest never using my picks to help you in your Oscar pools or anything like that, because I have a bad track record. Terrible. But
we will not be held financially liable.
Right, exactly. You put money on anything based on what I said, and I don't want to hear anything about it. It's bad enough I'll have to go on WBAL and explain my picks when I lose, because that's what always happens. Let's start right at the top with Best Picture. So, Best Picture, the nominees for this year were 1917, Ford v. Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. Now, this one is pretty clear, at least in terms of who the front two are. It's 1917 and Parasite.
Right.
And whether or not Parasite is going to do what Roma attempted to do last year, which is take Best Picture and Best Foreign, or if the Academy will split the difference and give maybe Parasite's director Bong Joon-ho Best Director, but give Parasite Best Picture, or vice versa. Now these categories, Best Picture, Best Director, tend to split. So I went out on a limb and I picked Parasite to win. I think Parasite's going to do it. And I think Parasite's going to do it, even though I think 1917 was my number one movie of 2019. I think it's a better film. I feel like Parasite is like the emotional pick, and they're going to go with it this year.
Right.
1917 is like the you look at it and you're like, that is a Best Picture movie. That's it right there. Parasite is not that obvious. But it's like the thing. It's like picking with your heartstrings, and I think they're going to go with that this year, especially in a year when they were getting criticized for being too male and too white.
Yeah,
Parasite is a way to get away from that narrative. So I'm picking with I'm going with Parasite. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, the two front runners are a perfect dichotomy of the Oscars past and the Oscars future, who they were and who they want to be. I mean, 1917 is a movie that you look at that came out this year, you're like, yep, that's the winner, or that's going to be one of the top choices. Whereas Parasite, 10, 15 years ago probably wouldn't have even made the list. Not on its merits, but just based on the type of movie it is. It's a foreign film and it's a little bit different. Personally, honestly, I would have liked to see Jojo Rabbit at least in the top running, but that's not going to happen. So I think that I thought 1917. I have a gut feeling 1917 is going to take it, but you make a good point. After all the backlash for the nominees this year, it could have swayed some votes over to Parasite. So they might shake it up and give it to Parasite there as well. But I don't think there's a chance anybody else. If anybody else gets the call, it'll be a huge shock.
Yeah, a few months ago, I actually would have said Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a front runner, and I think I would have been accurate in that. Not long after that movie came out, and then 1917 came out, and it's like, oh, okay, 1917 is clearly clearly it. But then Parasite was just sort of came out of nowhere. Parasite's been popular since it opened this year, but it's been in very recent months that people have been like, I think this movie has a chance to win. And the buzz for it is good.
It's a classic buzz run.
Yeah.
It's a classic buzz run of the Oscars, and it is surprising. I'm glad you mentioned Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because that's how you know these guys are really pulling their hair out trying to get the one that they think should go and what they want to make, how they want to present themselves as Oscar voters to win. Because damn well Hollywood loves a movie about itself. So the fact that we're talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Hollywood as one of the top two is surprising alone. Because any movie you make about Hollywood that's well made, it's almost guaranteed to get up there.
All right, Best Director. The nominees are Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Sam Mendes for 1917, Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, and Todd Phillips for Joker. I'm just going to say right off the top, I don't think Todd Phillips or Martin Scorsese should even be in there. I don't know why they're there. They shouldn't be there. I think you should probably replace them with Ari Aster for Midsommar and Robert Eggers for The Lighthouse. I would take either of them ahead of Scorsese or Todd Phillips. I think they both had much better movies that required a lot more from them. But anyway, none of those guys are going to win. The only person who's going to win this category is Sam Mendes from 1917. There's no other. I love Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. No, obviously I love Tarantino for Hollywood, but nobody took on a greater task than Mendes. And I think regardless of how the Best Picture category shakes out, Mendes takes Best Director.
Yeah, I don't think there's really another choice. What he did with 1917 was so simple, but so effective and so, gorgeous when you really lay it out. To see a film that appears to be shot in one take, it's something that you never really even think of, and it makes the movie so compelling and so tension-filled. And, they're coming out with a lot of behind-the-scenes looks at how it was done. And it's not as easy as one would think, really. So I agree. I think Bong Joon-ho might pull something out here, especially if Parasite doesn't win Best Picture. But it's Sam Mendes.
All right, Best Actor. Nominees are Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Jonathan Pryce for Two Popes, Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, and Leonardo DiCaprio for Hollywood. This is about as easy a pick as possible. This is going to Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. And even though I have issues with that film, I don't have issues with Joaquin Phoenix. He's tremendous.
No, it's hard to.
Yeah, he's tremendous in that. It's the competition. Adam Driver could easily have won for Marriage Story on any other year, and I would say the same thing for Jonathan Pryce and DiCaprio. I'm one of the few that was not feeling anything with Banderas from Pain and Glory, if I'm honest. But these others, any other year they could have won, but Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is one of those once in a career roles and performances. So there's no other option here. There's no dark horse. There's nothing. It's Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I would have liked to see Adam Driver cap off this amazing year with an Oscar win, but
hell yeah.
I don't think there's anything that's going to stop Joaquin Phoenix. And the crazier part of that is not just how good his performance is, but the fact that if he wins, when he wins, that will mean that 2 actors got an Oscar for playing the same role within 20 years of each other. Has that happened before? I mean, I'm sure it has, but definitely not for a comic book character.
I don't know. I don't know if that is true or not. I mean, in most cases, a film like this that gets nominated isn't for something where you would see the same characters, be nominated that often. So I don't think it is something that's happening before, honestly. I don't.
Maybe
think so.
Queen Elizabeth or something like that.
That could be possible. I can do that. All right. So I really want to see Eddie Murphy in that category for Dolomite is my name, but I mean he's really lost in place. So
crazy. He and Adam Sandler really got snubbed.
Yeah, I really want Adam Sandler in there too. I probably that's the thing. Who would I take? I would have definitely taken out Banderas, but I wouldn't have wanted to take out Price, Driver, or DiCaprio. So I mean, I don't know who I would replace those 2 guys with. This is a really tough year for Best Actor. I'm just going to put it that way.
You're just as bad as these Academy voters, Travis. You're taking off the one guy of color.
I know.
The one person of color on the list, you want to take him off?
I know. All right. Well, at least Adam Sandler got his indie spirit from Best Actor last night.
Right.
Best Actress is another one where this is not even up for debate. Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, Scarlett Johansson for A Marriage Story, Charlize Theron for Bombshell, Saoirse Ronan for Little Women, and Renee Zellweger for Judy. Zellweger has had this lockdown for ages, and nobody has come close. Sort of like with Joaquin Phoenix, where nobody came close to touching him. Nobody came close to Zellweger either. She's got this on lock. And there's really no one else because, honestly, other than Erivo for Harriet, these other roles feel like supporting roles to me. They're all ensembles. Sure. They're ensemble pieces, all of them, with the exception of Harriet and Judy. So I mean, I think there's really no competition for Zellweger here. She's got this.
Yeah, you make a good point because my only other option other than Renee Zellweger would have been Charlize Theron because what she did in Bombshell was pretty. I mean, even if you want to call it a very high class impression. Pretty damn good high class impression, but I really don't understand their rules sometimes for starring and supporting. But yeah, as much as I don't know that they had as much to do as Renee Zellweger, and I think that has more to do with it. But yeah, she will win. I would have liked to see Scarlett Johansson. She's really mine for another category, but. Her and Adam Driver were amazing in Marriage Story. All good performances all around, but it's gonna be Renee Zellweger because Hollywood loves a movie about Hollywood.
Yeah, and it's not only that, but she actually does deserve it in this case. She is truly amazing.
Oh yeah, that's not to belittle her performance. She was amazing in it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, she's great. And Marriage Story will win in an acting category and another category later. So I wasn't feeling Bombshell the way others were. I thought Charlize Theron. They did a great makeup job on her, and they will be awarded for their makeup job on her. But the role was very, very thin as far as I was concerned. All right, Best Supporting Actor. The nominees are Tom Hanks, Full Day in the Neighborhood, Brad Pitt for Time in Hollywood, Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes, Al Pacino for The Irishman, Joe Pesci for The Irishman. I don't care how many times you put The Irishman in the category; it's not going to win anything. You could put 5 people in the category and it's not going to win. The Irishman is going to go 0 for 10 tonight. I think it's been nominated 10 times. It's going to go 0 for everything. It's not going to win. And it's because that movie is, even though it's a good movie, it's not a great movie. And I don't know. I feel like it's here because it's Scorsese and it's really crazy.
It's here because of the names. I mean, it's the names attached. It's like they couldn't bring themselves to not nominate them.
That said, Pacino and Pesci were the best parts of The Irishman for me. I loved Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa. He took the movie away from Robert De Niro. And Joe Pesci is amazing. It's probably the last time we're ever going to see him on screen. And he brought it. I just thought he was fantastic. So I feel bad that they're not going to get anything, but they're not going to get anything because the winner here is Brad Pitt. Most of my time Hollywood. He's going to win it. A few months ago, I would have said Tom Hanks for Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, but that movie really kind of died when it came out. Like, no one really went to see it. No one really talked about it. It just kind of came out and was gone. But people are still talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Brad Pitt. I think he's got this one.
Yeah, I mean, it was really the culmination of his Brad Pittness. And I don't see... I hear a lot of talk about Joe Pesci, and I think this could be a chance for Hollywood to do their whole Lifetime Achievement type award give, where they give it to somebody that maybe shouldn't get it. But I think it'll be hard to take it from Brad Pitt in this category. Now, I'm racking my brain. Has he won before?
Who, Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
He won for producing 12 Years a Slave.
Right, but he's never won an acting award, right? Because it's strange to see when
he's never won an acting award. He's never won an acting award. He's only got that one for when 12 Years a Slave won Best Picture. He got a producer.
Right.
He was producing that, so he got an Oscar for that. Never for an acting.
When it comes to longevity in Hollywood, most of the time it's people that have had a major award attached to their name. So, I know he's Brad Pitt, but it's kind of surprising it took him this long to get one. So, that being said, maybe that kind of trumps Joe Pesci's Lifetime Achievement.
Not quite. Brad Pitt still got some time to go before he gets there. But yeah. It's just, this has quietly been an amazing year for Brad Pitt, not just for this. I thought he was Oscar-worthy in Ad Astra also. That movie has largely been ignored by the Academy, by any voters this year, which I thought was sad. But he's been tremendous this year, Brad Pitt. I'm glad to see him finally I'll be happy to see him finally get what he deserves. And we'll end on Best Supporting Actress. The nominees are Laura Dern for Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit, Kathy Bates for Florence Pugh for Little Women, and Margot Robbie for Bombshell. This one is Laura Dern all the way. But as I mentioned in my thing this morning, my post about my Oscars this morning, there's this part of me that thinks that Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit could sneak in there. And my reasoning for that, even though this has been Laura Dern's Oscar to win for quite a while now, the reason why I think Scarlett Johansson still has a chance is because when I talk to people about these particular roles, it's Scarlett Johansson and Jojo Rabbit that people talk about as having that scene that you can't forget. And if you talk to anybody about Jojo Rabbit, they know exactly what that scene is. I'm not going to spoil it here. They know exactly what that scene is. And that scene only matters if everything else she did in the movie matters. Laura Dern for Marriage Story. Laura Dern is great all throughout Marriage Story, but it's not her movie at all. And it's not even in a supporting sense. The movie still isn't even about her. It's about Johansson and Driver's characters. Her character is very ancillary to that. And I'm just kind of like, there's no one scene in that movie for her that makes me feel anything in particular. And I'm just like, I think that the Academy sees it the same way. If they can't get ScarJo and Jojo Rabbit out of their head, then we could see an upset.
Yeah, well, if we don't see that upset, I'm officially done watching or talking about the Oscars. I usually don't have strong feelings about this kind of thing, but for some reason, that Scarlett Johansson and Jojo Rabbit, as soon as I saw that movie, I said, she's got to win or else I'm done with this. Because, the scene you're talking about, I'll leave up to because I'm sure a lot of people haven't seen it. But, what makes that, the payoff of that so much is the scene she has in the kitchen when she's dealing with her son who's upset about some things, and the way, and I don't want to get into it too much, but it's this amazing piece of acting where she's playing two characters for lack of more detail, and she's just in it. And I was just, that's what really cemented the emotion of that movie for me as a whole, was that scene. So there hasn't been a more powerful supporting player in a movie this year than I think. So I'll be really upset if she doesn't win.
Has anyone had a better, other than Florence Pugh, has anyone had a better year than Scarlett Johansson this year? And maybe Adam Driver could maybe be better.
That's the only person I go to is Adam Driver.
But other than that, Scarlett Johansson has had a hell of a 2019.
And you can't even really say that she died in her movie because I guess they both did, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I smell an upset here. I smell an upset.
I hope so.
Yeah, I smell an upset. We'll see. I still think ultimately they give it to Dern, because she's extremely likable in Hollywood and she's a solid choice. But I smell an upset and I kind of want to see it. I kind of want to see Scarlett. So, all right, those are our Oscar picks. The Oscars are tonight. I believe they start at 7 or 8 o'clock. I don't know. They end at about 5 in the morning.
Yeah. 5:45.
Yeah, it's a long night for me. Man, we need to have somebody who can post the Oscars at when this whole thing's over. Who's going to be around to do that? John, you going to be around to do that?
Oh, when it's all over?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I can put some posts while it's going.
You're going to be asleep.
Yeah, I'll be asleep.
God damn it. All right, that means I got to do it when I get home. All right. If you're watching the show, then tweet away.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I can do a post about it. We can talk about it after the show, but generally speaking, I am in bed by about 8:45.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah. Wake yourself up at midnight and post the Oscar picks.
There you go.
And then go back to bed.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Anyway, we'll talk about that after. Anyway. All right. So let's talk about some other things in news because our show's already about to come to an end. This hour always goes extremely fast. So there's been some big changes with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness. So the director, Scott Derrickson, who directed the first movie, he's dropped out over creative differences. That happened back in January, happened last month. But now they're talking about Sam Raimi coming in. He's in talks to direct the sequel, which is it's pretty incredible to get somebody like Sam Raimi. And the reason why it's incredible, one, he's a legend, which they've not had a legend behind the camera direct any Marvel movie yet. Like this never happened. So it's like the biggest get for them as a director. But also because he directed the entire Spider-Man trilogy, so he knows how to make a blockbuster. If it wasn't for the success of those Spider-Man movies, we wouldn't have the MCU as we know today. So he knows this stuff. And it makes me wonder, why do you bring him in specifically for a movie that's about the multiverse? And where we already know that Spider-Man is going to be seen in Venom, or at least he's referenced in Venom, in Morbius, and probably be referenced again in Venom 2. Why do you bring in somebody like Sam Raimi? Are you going to try to link Spider-Man movies? Are you going to try to link all the Spider-Man movies? I think that is possible here. I really do.
You're on that train. I can't believe it. I've been reading all these people, these conspiracy theories and I've even seen a couple memes posted of the portals from Avengers Endgame and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man's hand sticking out of it. I mean, stranger things have happened, and it does seem weird they bring Sam Raimi in. I'm a little more trepidatious about this news just because, and unfortunately, the only one I can think of right now is Solo. But it seems historically, whenever the original directors are taken out and they bring in a legend, bring in an icon, a big-name director, it doesn't go well for whatever reason. Thankfully, from my understanding, they're not far into the process on Doctor Strange 2, so it's not like they're taking it over. Raimi has a very specific style, a very, very specific style. I'm worried it might be a little jarring to the MCU. You can even see it in Spider-Man quite a bit. Like, there are similarities between Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, and Spider-Man if you look in the right places. I'm not just talking about Bruce Campbell.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see.
But if you're going to bring in Raimi to do anything, you would want to do it in a movie like Doctor Strange, which the first movie from that was one of the wonkiest things that Marvel's done. I mean,
this is where he comes in, if anywhere.
It makes sense, not only in the style, but also in keeping some of the horror elements that are involved. Raimi's good at that. I mean, I think he's probably as good of a pick as they probably would have chosen. And we talked about how there's, early in the process, they just brought in a new writer to rewrite Doctor Strange 2. And it's the guy who created the Loki series that's coming up. What does the Loki series have to do with? The multiverse. So, I mean, this all seems to be tying together pretty neatly here. We're going to see some. I think they're going to see some really huge things happen with the multiverse here, and I'm beginning to think that we're going to see Raimi try to tie in all of these various realities and see how that goes.
Yeah, well, it's not unprecedented. I mean, I know it's a much smaller scale, but anybody that watches the DC, the MULTIVERSE shows, I mean, what Crisis on Infinite Earths just did is they kind of set the stage for stuff like that to be okay. I mean, they brought in, Tom Welling from Smallville. They brought in Lucifer from the Netflix show, and did all this stuff and brought it together and made it seem as a little bit more possible. And considering the success of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, it might be actually kind of cool to see Tobey Maguire as that old Spider-Man and Tom Holland as a younger one, and then, God willing, they bring in a Miles Morales.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to bring in a Miles Morales somehow.
The only thing though is that wouldn't that take up so much real estate that it would easily, to do it any kind of justice, it would have to stop being a Doctor Strange movie. We already know that Scarlet Witch is supposed to play a big part in it, so that's another distraction from Doctor Strange.
Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a distraction from Doctor Strange. I mean, it just sounds like they're all going to be part of the whole.
Yeah.
I don't know. We really need to see how they're going to do this. I have no idea. I
just convinced myself, because I got to remember who I'm dealing with here, and Captain America Civil War was certainly still a Captain America movie, but it included everybody else and their mother. So, yeah, let me stop second-guessing Marvel for a minute.
Until they prove us wrong.
Right.
All right. and last story that I wanted to bring up. Vin Diesel was talking about Fast and Furious 10. Now, I think for a while now, we've expected that 10 would be the end of the Fast and Furious franchise, or the likely end. But recently this week, he started talking about it. Fast and Furious 9 isn't even out yet, but he was talking about 10. And here's what he said. I started planning for Fast 10 before we started filming Fast 9. The universe is so robust and so rich with talent and rich with story that on one level, it's totally feasible to have spin-offs, which we already have one spin-off. And I think that's something that is inevitable. Universal deserves it because of how much they've invested in this little saga, and it'd be good to give back to Universal. And for the fans, should Fast 10 Parts 1 and 2 be the conclusion, it would be nice for this world to continue for generations to come. He is basically telling us that Fast and Furious 10 will be a 2-part finale. Woo-hoo!
Yeah.
I thought we had gotten this, but if any franchise is going to do it, it deserves to be Fast and Furious. Come on.
Yeah.
This thing's been around for 20 years, more than 20 years by the time we get around to Fast 10. And it is a movie where bigger has always meant better. So how could you not have a 2-part finale? How could you not?
Yeah.
I mean, just if they didn't.
I mean, you have to.
Yeah.
I love how he also left it open. Like, he didn't say it will be. He said, if it's going to end here, say what you will about Vin Diesel, but he's smart in the ways of Hollywood and how to get around things. I mean, the guy is 52 years old, which gives me hope. I'm about to be 38, and I feel like I'm broken down and done already. So maybe I can still pull something out. But, they've been through so much. I mean, it's really the first connected universe that was made. I mean, we look at an MCU and Star Wars now and all these things, and when they went to at the end of Tokyo Drift, Travis's favorite movie of all time, when Dom pulls up at the end, that's your first connected universe right there. I mean, that's your first time of pulling all the pieces together, and I wouldn't be surprised to find that some of the inspiration for what we're seeing now comes back to that. So you got to give the series the credit it deserves. But I'm just interested to see how you finish a franchise like this. I mean, they can't just all go into retirement happy, and they can't all just drive off a cliff either.
Yeah, you just have you can see the final scene right now with all of their cars riding off into the distance. You see from a rear view shot, dust kicking up behind them, side by side, all on a line together. I can see it, and I can see it.
I've got a better one. So we see in the teaser that Dom has a kid now, right? And we know that Paul Walker's character had a kid as well. The final shot is Dom looking at his nephew and his son in Power Wheels getting ready to race.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like yours better. Yours is the better one. I don't know if it's as cool though.
No, it's not cool.
But it does. No, but it does get the idea of family across, which is like the big theme of these movies all this time. So I mean, it's as good as anything, man. I like it. Or you just have like grown-up versions of their kids racing off into the sunset or something, kind of following in their parents' footsteps. I don't know. I'm very curious to see how this thing ends up, but I really want to see what happens in 9, which brings back Han somehow. There's no good way. There's no good way they can pull that off, and the only reason they're doing it is because of the Justice for Han crowd that's been out there, and which I count myself as one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the Nick Fury, right? Nick Fury in Winter Soldier. It's got to be that. You know, you see the car, and he's got a laser wrench or something that gets him through the floor.
Oh, it's such nonsense. That's nonsense.
That's the beauty of Fast and Furious, though. That can actually be what it is.
I would almost rather he had like a life model decoy, like Nick Fury has to.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You know, that wasn't the real Han. The real Han was miles away in Afghanistan or something. That was a fake Han. What?
Right.
I mean, it's Fast and Furious, so who the hell knows? And I fully believe that they're going to go into space for number 10. I do. I think they're going to find
it at some point.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to find a way to bring it just in space. As absurd as that may be. All right, my friend. So we've come down to the end of the show. I don't know what comes out next week. What comes out next week? Downhill, I think, is one of the movies that comes out next week with Will Ferrell and Julie Louis-Dreyfus. You can actually check out my review of that already. It's up on pushfrontcritics.com. I saw it every Sunday.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog, which I saw yesterday, and it made me come home and want to play some Sonic games. I'm not going to lie. It did.
Well, that's good news. And then the Photograph also comes out next week.
Photograph does come out next week. You know what else comes out next week? Fantasy Island, which they are not screening. From what I'm hearing, it's not in DC. They're not. So
poor Lucy Hale. She's so beautiful, and she just keeps being in these horrible horror movies.
Oh, that's right. She was in what's that other one? She was in
Truth or Dare.
Truth or Dare. That's right. Truth or Dare wasn't. Well, no, it wasn't. But it made a lot of money though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, poor Lucy. Anyway, so yeah, Fantasy Island, that's coming out next week too. So we're going to have to review some of these next week. I don't know which ones we're going to do. We'll definitely Downhill and Sonic the Hedgehog. We'll talk about the Photograph of Fantasy Island maybe. Depending on whether or not either one of us goes to see Fantasy Island, considering that's not screening it for us.
I can take that bullet.
Yeah. No, yeah, please do. Please do. I'm going to see it too because I got to talk about it on TV or whatever. So I'll probably end up paying for it too. So. But you can definitely do a review from the site. That's for sure. All right, guys. So that is another episode of Cinema Royale. I'm Travis Thompson of punchfrontcritics.com. John Nolan of punchfrontcritics.com as well. John, good show, my friend.
Good show, man. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Later.